You insist that the opposition is united despite the fact that Benazir is not part with you. You insist that General Musharraf is weak despite the fact that public opinion is that he's shown resolve, grit and determination. Let me then flip and ask you a slightly different question. How do you see General Musharraf's future today?
I think the general is not going to survive September. I cannot...
Politically or physically?
No. He won't be in power by the end of September.
What will happen? Will he be removed?
I just think that there are too many now. All the crises are coming to a head. You must remember that eventually he has to have himself re-endorsed by the same assemblies again.
But he said he'll do it between September the 15th and October the 15th.
But whatever he has to do has to be done before September. Now, this is the problem he faces. If there's an independent Chief Justice sitting there, there's no way he's going to allow him to go through, assemblies whose terms last one term, cannot elect as president for 2 terms.
So you're saying that an independent Supreme Court with an independent Chief Justice, particularly if it's Iftikhar Chaudhry restored, will not allow him to seek a second mandate as president from the existing assembly?
No independent Supreme Court would allow that.
You know that the president has in fact committed himself to seeking a mandate from the existing assemblies. You're saying the Supreme Court will disallow it?
There's no way the Supreme Court, if it's independent, can allow him. It's totally unconstitutional.
What if the general does something else? Suppose the general were to call early elections by dissolving the National Assembly and some or all of the provincial assemblies. Then in those circumstances, he would have a new body that would be perfectly capable of re-electing him. How then do you say he'll collapse before September?
But he's even in a bigger mess. If he calls for elections now, with the public opinion against him, a genuine opposition in the field, there's no way he's going to get this King's Party re-elected again. I mean, he's in a mess either way.
So you're saying he's a loser if he tries to hold presidential elections first because the Supreme Court will strike them down. They won't permit them to be held twice by the same assembly. And you're saying he can't hold elections generally for the assembly because he won't win them.
And except People's Party, all the opposition will go out of the assemblies anyway.
What about
if he tries to have himself re-elected? So they will become meaningless.
What about the general standing with the army? That is his real constituency. And up to now, the corps commanders and army officers are totally loyal to General Musharraf. So when you say he'll be out of power by September, what about the army? They're going to keep him there.
The generals were loyal to Ayub Khan, they were loyal to Ziaul Haq, to Yahya Khan, but eventually the generals removed all 3 dictators before.
In which case, come back to the critical statement you made. You said you can't see General Musharraf surviving beyond September. What is going to happen in September?
Well, anything could happen, because the fact is that
what's most likely?
He will become
most likely?
Well, he is already a liability. He will become a bigger liability as the movement starts.
Liability to whom?
For the institution.
You mean the army? So you're saying the army will get rid of him?
Well, eventually the army, like in the 3 previous cases, it's the army which removes the dictators.
So you see a replacement of the general by the army?
I don't think he'll be replaced. I think a new general will go for free and fair elections, like happened in
But for a new general, he has to be replaced.
No, what will happen is Musharraf will go, the power will go back to the army will be left with no choice but free and fair elections, because the experiment of having a King's Party has failed. Just like in Ayub Khan, when the Convention Muslim League, which was his King's Party, failed, Yahya held free and fair elections.
Where then in this scenario that you see does Benazir Bhutto and the attempts that she is supposedly and allegedly making to strike a deal with Musharraf fit in? And where does America's desire to see an arrangement between the two of them fit in?
Well, you see, the Americans are under this delusion that they have to have their man in Pakistan, and that's the only way fundamentalism and extremism will be controlled. This is a complete joke. It's exactly what they did in Iran. Shah of Iran was backed right to the end, and eventually the movement for democracy turned against the U.S. And of course, we saw the reaction.
What about Benazir? Is she under a delusion?
It's exactly what's happening in Pakistan. They are backing an unpopular dictator, and in the end, the democratic movement will turn against the U.S. unless they step back.
But what if the democratic movement's most important element, Benazir Bhutto, does a deal with Musharraf?
I think Benazir will be sunk if she does a deal. Remember, her father was hung by a military dictator. Her party has had the greatest struggle against the military dictator of Ziaul Haq. So if she does a deal, I think her party will break up.
You mean the PPP will ditch its own leader if Benazir does a deal with Musharraf?
They might not ditch her, they might just be disillusioned and leave the party. Remember, it's your workers that make you win the election. So if your workers are disillusioned, and there will be, I mean, there are already noises within her party. I just think it'll be very difficult for her to do this deal.
So this is why you're so confident that the moment has come for the political parties. Do you think that this is also a moment for the Tehreek-e-Insaf?
I think Tehreek-e-Insaf is the idea whose time has come. I mean, the whole justice
Politicians
movement.
always say that, by the way.
But let me just say the whole justice movement is Tehreek-e-Insaf. For 11 years we were calling for independent judicial system. It's happening now.
If elections were to be held before the end of this year, how many seats do you think you're likely to win? Remember, you have only one at the moment, your own.
I know, but this is the first time we will fight an election prepared and probably in a coalition. I reckon we'll become a power in the assembly.
How many seats?
I can't say right now, but I think we'll become a power.
Can you get over 50?
Might do. I mean, you know,
You're not sounding very confident suddenly.
No, I'm a born optimist. I mean, I probably would aim much higher. But I think that the way our vote bank is increasing, I think we'll do very well.
In which case, let's take a break at that point, Imran Khan, and let's come back and talk about your own future. Are you in that strange paradox where your party might do well, but your own future might be in doubt? That's in a moment after the break.